Good day, everyone. I am Trisha Marie Biscocho and I will be reporting about the Constitution. I included important details from the excerpt given to us in the Google Classroom to my report. I know that all of us know the gist and essence of Constitution. And to put what we already know about it in simple words, this is how Constitution is defined. A constitution is the fundamental law of the land. Austin Rani defined it as the whole body of fundamental rules, written or unwritten, legal or extra legal, according to which a particular government operates. Another definition from Justice Miller states that constitution is a written instrument by which the fundamental powers of government are established, limited and defined, and by which the fundamental powers are distributed among several departments for their safe and useful exercise for the benefit of the body politic. That is why we can all agree that a state without a constitution would not be a state, but perhaps a place of discord and chaos. Moving on, I will now be discussing the nature and purpose of constitution. The constitution is embedded not just to the citizens but also to all organs of the government. It provides the essence of being absolute and permanence of the government, from the different branches to the powers and responsibilities. One of its purpose is to ensure that the government acts with political authority and with accordance with law. The Constitution is also an instrument to promote social and economic development for the well-being of the people. Since the history of Constitution from its emergence given in the reading material provided is very long, I summarized the origin and development of Constitution. Constitution started during the Middle Ages where the rights of cities, corporations, the church, and the feudal lords were defined and written in charters with the character of a contract. The concept of fundamental laws first appeared in the writings of political writers during the 16th century in France and in England. Gradually, the term constitution grew and developed. According to Lord Bryce, the American Constitution is one of the greatest contributions ever made to politics as practical art and also the comprehensive and definite expressions ever given to the fundamental principles of democracy. Kinds of Constitution. There are two kinds of Constitution. The first kind is as to origin and history, and under it is the conventional or enacted and the cumulative or evolved. Conventional or enacted. This is a constitution which is enacted by a constituent assembly or granted by a monarch to his subjects. Cumulative or evolved. This constitution is a product of growth and development over a long period of time. The next kind of constitution is as to form. Written. This has been given a specific definite format at a particular time and usually a product of a constituted authority. Unwritten. This is entirely the product of evolution consisting largely of a mass of customs, traditions, and is a mass of precedents carried in one's mind. Constitutional law defined. It is defined as that branch of jurisprudence which treats the constitutions, their nature, formation and amendment, operation and interpretation. It refers to the law embodied in the Constitution as well as to the principles growing out of the interpretation and application made by the courts, particularly the Supreme Court being the court of last resort. The following are the functions of the Constitution. 1. The Constitution ensures that government acts with political authority and legality. 2. The Constitution is an instrument to promote social, economic, and cultural development. 3. The Constitution is a dynamic instrument that binds together people with a common and noble purpose to promote dignity, mutual interest, and respect to have an orderly society. 4. The Constitution is an instrument that is regarded to symbolize basic moral values, customs, practices, and traditions of the people. Now, I will be talking about the essential requisites of a good constitution. First is brief, meaning it should be straight to the point. Second and third, broad and definite, meaning it should have its scope and limitations included. Lastly is flexible. Moving forward, I will now be talking about the Constitution of the Philippines. This is the gist of the 1935 Philippine Constitution. The 1935 Constitution came into being when the Philippine legislature passed a convention law for the election of 202 delegates by the people pursuant to the provisions of the Tidings-McDuffie Law. The Constitutional Convention met on July 30, 1934 at the Session Hall of the House of Representatives and elected Claro M. Recto as president. This constitution provided a legislative body known as the National Assembly. One of its important features is that the government established by the said constitution shall be known as the Commonwealth of the Philippines. It was mentioned that there has been a constitutional convention, and the reasons for calling a constitutional convention are the following. 1. The 1935 Philippine Constitution was tailored after a colonial orientation and approved by the President of a colonial power, then the mother country, the United States. 2. The 1935 Philippine Constitution is not a genuine product of the Filipinos. It does not reflect their true sentiments and aspirations as a sovereign people in responding to social development and political reforms. 3. The 1935 Philippine Constitution does not adequately provide for the emerging needs of the Filipino people, especially in some areas of concern in terms of current global development. Lastly, there was a strong clamor and an overwhelming support to have a new constitution which the Filipinos can be proud of, as evidenced by the various sectors of society: political, economic, social, and cultural dimensions, manifesting full cooperation in the awakening and involvement of every citizen of the archipelago in this historic task. Using these justifications as a basis, a congressional resolution calling for a constitutional convention with the 1971 Constitutional Convention Act provided for the election on November 10, 1970 of 320 delegates to a constitutional convention to be held on June 1, 1971. On September 21, the convention, still in session, the President of the Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos, declared martial law under Proclamation No. 1081 on September 2, 1972. He issued General Order No. 1, wherein he proclaimed that he would govern the nation and direct the operation of the entire government in his capacity as Commander-in-Chief of all the armed forces of the Philippines. The 1973 Philippine Constitution. The Constitution was formally submitted to the President of the Philippines on December 1, 1972. Upon receipt, he issued Presidential Decree No. 73 submitting the proposed new Constitution to the Filipino people for ratification. The decree provided further that the provisions of the Election Code of 1971 should apply to the conduct of the plebiscite. For several reasons, the constitutionality of the decree was challenged by the Supreme Court. Besides, there was no sufficient time to inform the people about its contents. The Supreme Court failed to resolve the case on the constitutionality of Presidential Decree No. 73. However, pending judicial resolution of these cases, the process of ratification of the new constitution by the barangays went on from January 10 to January 15, 1973. It appeared that the political process on the ratification of the new constitution through the citizens' assemblies was even faster than the judicial process in resolving the cases. The 1973 Philippine Constitution was ratified on January 17, 1973, when the President of the Federation of Barangay Council formally presented to the President the result of the referendum. The 1973 Constitution was perceived to be invalid because it was not ratified by the people. The 1987 Constitution. It was drafted by a constitutional commission created under Article 5 of Proclamation Number 3, issued on March 25, 1986 by President Corazon Aquino, which promulgated the Provisional Constitution or Freedom Constitution following the installation of a revolutionary government through a direct exercise of power of the Filipino people after the People Power Revolution, culminating the 20 years of former President Ferdinand Marcos' rule and his ouster. The proposed new constitution was approved by the Commission on October 12, 1986 and presented to the President. The 1987 Constitution was ratified by the Filipino people in a plebiscite held on February 2, 1987 and became effective on the same date, thereby superseding the Provisional Constitution and subsequently abrogating the 1973 Charter. That will be all. Thank you.